to Nerding on the Dbacks. I'm Son, a.k.a. Phoenix, and this is my...
Dad, a.k.a. Chris.
Yes.
That's right, and tonight we are really diving deep on the nerd and nerding out on the Dbacks.
And if it looks darker in this room, it's, well, because we're doing this at night. Also, Merry Christmas to everybody who's having a Merry Christmas. Hopefully them elves that are in your homes aren't doing anything bad this year.
Oh, man. Yeah, that elf on the shelf. We are definitely not partaking in that tradition.
Yeah, what the heck, Dad?
It's a lot of work. I don't want to do that. I'm a bad dad. I get it. I'm a
Horrible.
Horrible. Half-aid dad.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely dreadful.
All right. Well, so we're a little later than we wanted to be in recording this. We took a 10-day trip for Thanksgiving, which was super great. We got to see, we had 3 days of Thanksgiving parties with families.
Yeah.
Different families. It was so awesome. However, that was on Thursday, Thanksgiving, Friday after, Saturday after. And then how did we wake up on Sunday morning, Phoenix?
Sick.
Sick. Very sick.
And guess what we had to do? We had to go on a plane.
Yeah, we took a plane across the country from Minnesota all the way back to Arizona.
No, we weren't like throwing up. We just had a very short throat, and we didn't want to get anybody on the plane sick. So
we only ended up having to get delayed on the runway for an hour and a half while we sat in our seats.
That was tough.
Oh man, yeah, and I had chills and everything. I was not doing well. Turns out when we got back, we found out that 20 out of 20 people that we talked to that were at the one Thanksgiving party that we went to, all got sick. And a bunch of them tested positive for COVID. So I'm pretty sure we had COVID. We never tested positive, but enough did that I'm certain it was.
I knew that milk tasted weird. No, I'm kidding.
So yeah, you barely got sick at all. You were, man, your immune system is robust. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, I just had a sore throat, and then I had some ice cream. Blue Bunny, sponsor us. Anyways,
nice, good name drop.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Again, sponsor, but
so they're not a sponsor, but we don't have any sponsors.
Yeah, so just like we'll mention your name for like 30 bucks.
I mean, we're terrible, just in the hope that you'll come. I don't know why you would want to sponsor this podcast. It's an absolutely ridiculous show. So let's get on to our topic of the day. Obviously, have big news in D-back land.
Oh yeah.
The first bit of news that dropped was we got a new third baseman.
Woo!
And who is it?
Eugenio Suarez. I'm sorry if I said that wrong. I'm sorry.
Just a little bit. I'm sure the Suarezes are not offended by your mistake. It's Eugenio Suarez.
Okay, Eugenio Suarez.
I've also heard it pronounced Eugenio. I guess I'm not quite sure which one is proper, but I've always gone by Eugenio. Eugenio Suarez. He was a long-time Cincinnati Red. He was pretty amazing with them. Went to Seattle for a couple of seasons. His first season in 2022 was incredible. Last season was a little bit of a downturn. So we were going to start this show out by discussing all the what positions that the D-backs really needed to address.
And we kind of talked about that last podcast, but we didn't really go into depth. This time, we're going into depth.
That's right, except for the first 2 needs, starting pitcher and third baseman.
Already got filled.
That's right. That's fantastic. It's great news. So,
woo!
And with good solid pickups too. So let's go take a look at Eugenio Suarez a little bit. We're gonna nerd out here, guys. We're going to Baseball Savant.
I mean, hey, we're nerding on the D-backs. What did you expect?
So, Eugenio Suarez, the main the main thing I always go to right away, because it's just a nice, easy way to see what kind of a hitter a player is. Eugenio Suarez had a 324 expected WOBA last season, and he had a 339 the year before. And really, his 3-year average for the last few seasons is right around 330. So that's solid. Like, in this lineup, he's probably the 5th best hitter on the team right now, behind Carroll, Marte, Walker, and Moreno. Maybe about on par with Moreno. We'll see what he really brings to the table. It's just so hard to depend on a catcher's offense from season to season. They're so up and down. Catchers get beat up. Their bodies are abused. You know, from playing catcher a little bit when you were younger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. It is so hard.
I mean, you're getting a ball thrown at you at like 98, 99 miles per hour, and it's just like...
In the majors, yeah.
And then boom, it just hits your glove, and you're just like...
Foul tips off of your mask constantly.
Yeah.
You know, the great Joe Mauer, who's likely going to end up in the Hall of Fame in the next few years sometime. He had his career cut short, essentially, because of foul tips off the mask and just getting concussions over and over. So.
Oh, yeah. Also, when you're, like, bending down for, like, 2 hours straight, not straight, but, like, just, like...
3 hours, really.
Yeah, just for, like... I know. Okay. Oopsies. Anyways, it's just, like, when you're sitting down on your knees and you're, like, trying to find the most comfortable position, your legs just get, like, so freaking, like you're so used to the position, and it hurts your legs a little bit, I feel like, and your knees. I mean, I would know from playing catcher because, like, it hurts your knees because you're just, like, sitting there crouching.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
A lot of times now, to take some of that wear off, they're in the 1D position, most catchers, so they don't take quite as much abuse, but it's still awful. I mean, catcher is just incredible. So anyway, they picked up Eugenio Suarez. He's a good hitter. I mean, honestly, I would like to see them still add one more bat that's at least as good as Suarez, if not better. In an ideal, like in a good playoff lineup, if they're a good solid offense, Suarez is the kind of guy you want batting ideally 6th or 7th. You don't really want him in the 3 to 5 spot. And so Suarez has a perfectly reasonable walk rate. He's been pretty strikeout prone. He's always like right hovering around the 10 highest percentile for strikeout rate every season. So you're going to get plenty of whiffs from him as the season goes on. There's a lot of swing and miss in his game. But when he does hit the ball, he hits the ball hard. For those who are curious out there, his barrel rate has been hovering right around about 13.5%, 14% the last few seasons. That's impressive. I mean, the average barrel rate in Major League Baseball is just under 11%, so that is a few percentage points higher than that. Is really good. He does hit the ball hard. He's got great exit velocity average, good max EV, and he's probably gonna go hit 30 homers if you give him 550 plate appearances. He's a good solid addition. On top of that, he's about an average defender at third base, and that's huge for the Diamondbacks. They really need that in their infield. They've got a little bit of a question mark at shortstop between now Perdomo and Lawler, but
Lawler.
Hopefully Perdomo can handle it to start the season, and Lawler can come in at some point and take over the position full time. And Perdomo can go to where he's best suited, and that is a utility infielder role, and not be dependent on to be playing in the lineup every day. He's, all respect to him as far as MLB level shortstops are concerned. He's not a very good defender. He's honestly not that good of a hitter. He's a bottom 10%, bottom 5% hitter in Major League Baseball, and he doesn't play that good a shortstop. He is, a fringe infielder who gets the most out of what he can do. And so then they got Marte now at second base and Christian Walker at first, who's a Gold Glove candidate pretty much every year over at first base. He's absolutely incredible. He's a king of scoops, and that's not stories, people. And I love their infield. They solidified that. It's set now. It's great. They need, like I said, one more bat in that lineup, and we'll discuss that a little bit more. But anything that you have to say about Eugenio Suarez?
I think he'll be a great add for our team. As you said before, I think the infield is going to be great. I think they're going to do well with the guys they have picked up. And speaking of the guys they picked up, do you want to head on to our next player?
Yeah, let's talk about the starting pitcher they added. So they added what I would really consider kind of the best pitcher in their price range, playing in the 20 mil AAV or less pond, which is kind of where they were fishing. Eduardo Rodriguez is right at the top of that heap. He is number one on that list of guys you could pick up for that kind of average annual value. So they got him on I should mention Eugenio Suarez, going back to that. You got him for one more season. That's it. So they just got a 1-year contract on him. And if he has a great year, they can offer him
more.
They could give him the qualifying offer if he has a great season and recoup a draft pick potentially. And if he doesn't have that great season, that's fine. He gets to walk. But 1-year contracts are the best. 13 mil, not breaking the bank. Leaves plenty of space still if the Diamondbacks want to maneuver. Not plenty of space, but enough space that they can still add some pieces to their lineup without too many consequences.
Yeah.
If they didn't have that Mad Bum contract sitting on the books still, it would be a whole nother story. They'd have a lot more space, but unfortunately that's not the case. So let's move on, like you said, to Rodriguez. Rodriguez has been a really, really solid pitcher. Now, his ERA can be a little deceiving. It's been all over the place, which is why I hate using ERA as a predictor, because it's so volatile of a statistic compared to how a player pitches. He's had a 4.74 ERA, a 4.05, and a 3.3 ERA. The crazy thing is the underlying statistics for most of those seasons, for those 3 seasons, have all been relatively close. The 2022 season was far and away his worst season, unquestionably, probably of his career. And his ERA wasn't that bad. He was actually, ironically, the 4.74 ERA, the highest of his career, was probably his best season. He had just a killer strikeout rate, over 10.5, and a walk rate under 2.7. Like, that's incredible. That is like Cy Young candidate level numbers. That's terrific. So,
who would you compare him to? If
I was gonna get to that, I would actually really, really comp him to Merrill Kelly on the Diamondbacks, except for he's a left-hander. He no longer strikes out a lot of guys, but he doesn't walk many guys, so he's still got that part under control. But he's not going to strike out a ton. He's a jump ball pitcher. He is a fly ball pitcher, not an extreme fly ball pitcher, but he's a fly ball pitcher, which with this team is good. When you got Alec Thomas right now, you got Alec Thomas and Joe McCarthy in the outfield, as well as Corbin Carroll. Basically 3 guys who can all play a good to elite center field, playing all 3 outfield positions. Having a fly ball pitcher with this team is ideal. Let those guys get it, because that infield is fine. It's dependable. Suarez is a nice upgrade at third base from what they've had defensively, but still their infield is going to be average at best. Their outfield is elite on defense, and so get all those fly balls that you can out to those guys. That's what we're looking for. It's how we're going to convert outs at the highest rate and limit runs best we can. So Eugenio Suarez, he has been really quite fantastic, very consistent season to season. Here's his FIPS going back to 2017. And again, FIP, fielding independent pitching. Fielding independent pitching is what the pitcher can control, has nothing to do with balls that are in play. So it's just home runs, walks, and strikeouts, because that's all a pitcher can really control. The defense impacts every other outcome that there is.
Okay, I get it.
So if you take the defense out of the equation, his FIPS have been 3.97, 3.65, 3.86, 3.32, 4.43. That was 2022, which, 2022, this is a potential concern, but apparently he had some family issues in 2022, and he took about half the season off to go and address those. And then he came back, and he was not himself for the season, which is understandable.
Yeah, if you have like issues with your family or anything that's like really important to you, you're just gonna. I feel like it's just gonna be trapped in your mind for like ever.
Till something happens with it. Yeah, there's actually. I always point to this because there's a player this past season, Jorge Lopez, who last season was unreal good in Major League Baseball, and then this season he just took a nosedive, and he had to leave. He left his team for a few weeks during the season because of family issues, and there's not a lot of information out there, but his son is going through some really, really important, possibly terminal health issues. And so I get it. Like, he had a rough season. I remember there was a player back in the 2000s named Adam Dunn. And Adam Dunn was a perennial all-star. Every year he went. And there's one season, I don't remember what it is, 2012 maybe? Just there's this weird outlier season where Adam Dunn was terrible. Like, literally, Adam Dunn was one of the most consistent players in Major League Baseball. Every season, 40 home runs, 100 RBIs, 100 walks. Just every year. It was so crazy. And he hit like 18 home runs and had like 40 walks. He had his OPS for his career is like 100, or OPS plus is like 145. And that season it was like 82. And
wow.
And it came out after the season was over during the offseason that his son was dealing with some serious health issues, and he never came out about it or anything. He just tried to keep playing, and it showed in his performance. Like, he had just a freak bad year. And that stuff's tough when you have that going on. So that he went to go get it addressed. He refused to take a trade to the Dodgers last year. Apparently he moved his entire, I've heard that he moved his entire family already down to Arizona. Like, family is very important to him, it sounds like. And he didn't want to go to the Dodgers because he didn't want to get separated from his family mid-season last year I'm guessing what the case was, and I'm not going to fault the guy for that.
Yeah.
I get it comes with the career of being a Major League Baseball player, but that's why you achieve a no-trade clause in your contract, so that if you don't want to get traded, you don't have to go. And so he felt it necessary for the best interest of life outside of baseball, his personal life, his family life, and I got no issue with that whatsoever. So I'm happy he took care of that. And when he came back this past season to pitch, he was fantastic. Put up a 3.66 FIP, a 4.06 xFIP, which is taken into account if he had home runs go out at a normal rate per fly ball. It means he got a little bit lucky probably with his pitches, but he's also had a higher xFIP than FIP his entire career. So you could say he's gotten lucky his entire career, over 1,100 innings. Or you could just say he's figured out a way to keep the ball in the ballpark at a higher rate than more players, which is more likely the case. It's what I would say at this point for him.
What's an xFIP?
xFIP is FIP. This is going to be kind of complex, but it's expected fielding independent pitching. So what they do is they take fielding independent pitching one step further, and they say if this guy's, because the one thing they found in baseball is that home run rate is pretty stable for most pitchers and across Major League Baseball, based on your fly ball rate. So if you are like, the average home run rate is about, I believe it's about 12% of fly balls become home runs. I think that's correct. It's about 12% of fly balls become home runs. And that's pretty stable for most players across the league, and most pitchers as well. Not most players, just most pitchers across the league. Kind of the way that BABIP, batting average on balls in play, the average is 315 across pretty much all pitchers in baseball. There are some exceptions, but for the most part, just like in hitters, there are some exceptions to that rule, but for the most part, it is 315. And so home runs per fly ball of 12%, what it does is it takes his home run rate and it normalizes it to 12%, basically. If he had given up home runs at a 12% rate instead of the 9.7% rate that he did, what would his FIP be then? And so that's what xFIP is. And honestly, it's okay. FIP is a better indicator. It's been a more accurate predictor of future results than xFIP has. But xFIP has its place as well. So, and his expected ERA has been as well, which takes into batted ball quality. So expected ERA does take into how hard guys hit the ball, what their line drive rate is, what the ground ball rate is against you. So it's a little more nuanced than FIP is. Batted ball quality can be considered a little volatile and not predictable, but it's xERA is getting worked on and refined every day. I have no doubt one day xERA will be a better indicator of future performance than FIP is. It's just not quite there yet. It's getting close. But as you can see from these numbers, it's starting to get a little bit closer than FIP is, but it's not there yet. So basically, Eduardo Rodriguez, he got a 4-year, $80 million contract that has escalators in it, that has incentives in it, that could get him to, I have heard, $99 million over 5 years. So he has a...
What a break.
Excuse me. He has an incentive in years 3 and 4 that he hits certain inning marks. He automatically gets a guaranteed 5th year on his contract, and I believe the team has a team option for a 5th year on the contract if he doesn't get those, if they still want to keep him around. So this gives the Diamondbacks a couple of seasons of having Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, and Eduardo Rodriguez.
Goodness.
Right now, if I would say that there's a good chance, as good as Merrill Kelly has been, there's a good chance that when the Diamondbacks get into the playoffs in 2024 and they're building their ideal rotation.
Oh, notice how he said run? Notice how he said when they get, not if they get?
No, when.
Yeah.
When.
Yeah.
When they get in the playoffs and they're setting their ideal rotation, I think Eduardo Rodriguez will probably be the 2 pitcher, and Merrill Kelly will be the 3 pitcher if they're all healthy. He's that good. He is a good pitcher. He's not a great pitcher. He's not an ace. He's not Zach Gallen, but he's pretty much neck and neck with what Merrill Kelly is, and that's a good, solid number 2 pitcher. So that gives the Diamondbacks 3 really, really good pitchers to work from. You have anything to add to that?
No, that was a lot to take in right there. I learned about xFIP and xERA, and I do think I would really love to see Eduardo pitch for the Dbacks. I hope he's really good, and I can't wait to see the Diamondbacks in the playoffs again. We're gonna win it. We're gonna win the whole thing this year.
It's good. It's gonna be tough now that the Dodgers added Shohei Ohtani.
Oh yeah.
He's not gonna pitch this year, so that's gonna be helpful. I feel like the Diamondbacks. This might be their best shot, but man, that offense that the Dodgers are gonna be throwing out there. I don't know how they're gonna pitch. They don't got anybody right now.
We did sweep the Dodgers when we went into the playoffs, but I don't know if maybe Shohei Ohtani will be the miracle man there.
Yeah, I don't think he can pitch at all in 2024 because he just had that elbow surgery, and I'm pretty sure he's out, and I think Kershaw might be out all of 2024 as well after getting shoulder surgery.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, I don't know where they're getting innings from for pitching. I mean, they're going to have to add some people still, but that's another podcast where we discuss the whole division, and
we're not nerding on the Dodgers. We're nerding on the Dbacks here. So
that's right.
Let's get back to our
So let's talk a little bit. Let's get a little bit more in depth here on Eduardo Rodriguez because he's an interesting pitcher. So he's a 4-pitch pitcher, and he throws a fastball, a slider, a cut fastball, and a changeup. So he's pretty much a typical fastball slider to left-handed hitters. He's gonna go right at him with a standard offering. He throws his fastball 55% of the time at a few ticks over 92. He's actually been pretty steady with his velocity for the last few seasons now. He hasn't lost much of anything. He's been right around 92, 92.2, 92.4, 92.6. So I think he looks like he might be able to settle in there for quite a while. He throws his changeup and his cutter quite a bit. His cutter throws about 19% of the time, and his changeup, same, about 19% of the time. I love watching good changeup pitchers, especially good changeup lefties. The way that they handle getting right-handed hitters out is really something unique and entertaining to watch. Just seeing right-handers go up there thinking they just got a meatball over the middle of the plate. Their eyes getting big, thinking there's a beach ball coming in that they're just going to smash over the batter's eye. And then they start to swing, and that ball the bottom just drops out, and they just swing right over it. It's just beautiful. Or they top it. They just get a little bit, and they hit a chopper out to third base or shortstop. It's so much fun. I love watching good lefties.
Bueno, or I cannot pronounce his name. I'm just gonna call him Suarez.
That works. That works. Suarez, Eugenio Suarez. So yeah, he's it's gonna be a great addition. The Diamondbacks now have 4 solid pitchers, because I'm willing to say Brandon Pfaadt is a solid number 4 pitcher. I still feel like they could really use, even if it's just a depth signing, they could still use another pitcher, which we'll get into here right now, I guess. So So they got third base now filled. They're set. So our number one need that we had said was they need a good 2/3 starter. They got that. They got their man in Eduardo Rodriguez. When we were making up our list of the top guys that they could add, we had Sonny Gray kind of at the very, very pinnacle, which he ended up getting priced out of the Diamondbacks price range, I think.
Yeah.
He got $25 million a year for over 3 years. And while I think he's worth every penny of that, he's a great pitcher. He's a better pitcher than Eduardo Rodriguez. I think Rodriguez is a better fit for what the Diamondbacks are looking for. Sonny Gray is more like a 1/2, and the Diamondbacks really needed more of a 2/3, and that's what they got.
Yep, and on the second on the list is, well, our boy that we have now.
Yep, Eduardo Rodriguez. So he is in there. They got Suarez now at third, which we were going to discuss the third base market. It is thin pickings out there at third base. It is pretty much Heimer Candelario, who signed with the Reds, which I don't know why they signed Heimer Candelario over there. They've already got 6 infielders on their roster. Now they got 7. I have no idea what they're doing. So they've got to have a trade or two coming. But the Diamondbacks now have got their man at third base, so they're locked in. They got someone who I would say is almost as good as Heimer Candelario without having to give up, and only a couple years older, without having to pay him on a 4-year contract, which is great. Like, that was it, for giving up pretty much just a couple of, I hate to say it this way, but nondescript relievers who never pitch for the Mariners. That was a great pickup for the Diamondbacks. Mike Hazen has done an incredible job of putting this team together, finding guys over the last few years to really fill in the gaps. And not just that, one thing that that GMs don't get enough credit for is GMs are in charge of setting the entire organizational structure. So they're the ones who are hiring the development team, minor league development, major league development. And you look at the guys who have come up through the system that have kind of outperformed expectations, specifically Christian Walker, what he's become. That's an impressive job. Christian Walker may not be what he is today if it isn't for Mike Hazen and the team that he put in place to help get Christian Walker to where he is. And that's a really underrated part of being a GM. And so I'm really happy and impressed with what Hazen has been able to do. And they've got good minor league depth. They don't have a lot of high-end guys, which, we talked a little bit about that last time. They do need to still, the next need that they really need to address is getting another bat, preferably an outfielder. If they can get an outfielder, a corner outfielder, that's a bat, that would be great. I do also think another outfielder that would be a good addition. I don't have them on here necessarily. I guess we'll go into this. So in the outfield, they need ideally a right fielder still, because as we discussed, Thomas is incredible in center. McCarthy's a solid backup in center field, and Carroll is a reliable third option in center, and a top-notch left fielder who can play right, but you'd really rather not have him there because he doesn't have the throwing arm to be one of the elite right fielders.
Yeah.
And so he could go pick it. He's fast and he runs good routes, but he just can't throw it the way, he can't make that toss to third and to home the way that you'd like to see a right fielder make it. So when I'm going over these outfielders, I was really looking at right field principally, guys that can play out there. And ideally, it's a right-handed bat, but it doesn't have to be a right-handed bat. So for free agents that are out there, our boy,
Yes.
who we'd love to see back still. I mean, rumor has it he should be coming on a decent contract that the Diamondbacks could afford, and he would slot right into the late middle of their lineup. He's right along the same lines of production as a player like Eugenio Suarez. And who are we talking about?
Lourdes, the boy, the dog, our favorite, Guriel. I cannot say his last name, but yeah. As we talked about last podcast, he's one of our favorite players, mostly because of his hair, as I said before, but he's also a pretty good hitter and defender in the outfield.
Yeah, he goes about his production in a very different way from Eugenio Suarez. He doesn't have nearly the power, though he did display a little bit more last year. He's far more of a contact hitter. He strikes out at just an incredibly low rate for the modern baseball game. He strikes out less than the average player. For hitting for as much power as he does, that's super impressive. He doesn't walk much either. He is a ball and play kind of guy. He's fairly fast. He plays good outfield. He has a really, really good arm. Frankly, he should be in right field. Whether that's going to be for the Diamondbacks here or whatever team he signs for, he should probably play in right field. He's good enough to be out there from a throwing arm standpoint. And he fits the bill for what the Diamondbacks are looking for. He's a very good hitter who's not a great hitter. And
I mean, he's been on the team before,
right.
And they've been to the World Series, so it's not like he's going to have to, meet his new teammates that he already had.
Right, he fits right into team culture. So that would be a great one. We'd love to see it. On the flip side, another possible candidate is another returning player, and that would be Tommy Pham.
Yes.
Tommy Pham.
What's up, Pham?
Not gonna play quite as much outfield as Lourdes Gurriel. You may have him splitting more time between DH and outfield. He's probably a left fielder when he plays, so you'd probably be playing Carroll more out and right, which is fine. Even with the lineup the Diamondbacks are going to be pushing out there right now, just as the team is, I'd probably still put Carroll in left field and have McCarthy playing right field, because he's a really, really good right fielder. He's rather underrated just as an outfielder in general. And now I'm going to look and make sure I'm saying that name correctly. Yeah, McCarthy. He is a very, very, very good defensive outfielder. If he could just hit a little bit, he would be incredible. So maybe he finally figures it out, but he's already 25. He hasn't shown a lot of signs of having a bat. I don't think he's much of an option. But those two guys, Lourdes Gurriel, Tommy Pham, would be great to have back. Some other players that are out there who would be good fits for the lineup, kind of be a good hitter, someone who's going to be give Suarez a run for their money as the fifth best hitter on the team. You got Hunter Renfroe out there, who's probably looking for what's referred to as a pillow contract. So a pillow contract is he had a few good seasons, and then he had a rough one last year. He didn't have a great season in 2023, and he had been super consistent for like the 3-4 seasons prior to that, playing for the Padres and the Red Sox and the Brewers. And so I think he'd probably be looking for something like a 1 in 10, 1 in 8 kind of contract. and would fit pretty well into the system. He's a decent right fielder. He's got a cannon for an arm, absolute cannon out there. And he's the kind of player that if he doesn't bounce back, if he's really cooked, you don't feel too bad about cutting him mid-season. Or he'd probably fit on the lineup still. The one thing Hunter Renfroe's done for his entire career is absolutely smash left-handed pitching. He's a right-handed hitter. He's always hit left-handed pitching really well. At worst, he makes a good platoon bat for right field / DH on the team. So that's an option. Adam Duvall, he is getting a little older. He's played center field at a Gold Glove level just 3 seasons ago. He's got a really good arm. He'd be a really good addition to the outfield to play right field. He'd be a good, solid, everyday right fielder if he can stay healthy. His main problem in his entire career in Major League Baseball is he's injury prone. He gets hurt a lot. And so there's some risk there with him that continues. But he plays, like I said, plays good defense. He's fairly fast. He has a lot of power. He strikes out a ton. He's going to be very similar to Eugenio Suarez in almost all respects on offense with a little bit extra speed. So he'd be a good pickup. He's not going to cost much. You're talking, we're looking at guys primarily on this list that are going to be 1-year pickups for $10 million or less. That's kind of what the Diamondbacks probably have somewhere in the realm of $10 to $15 million left to play with on their contract, hopefully on their payroll, hopefully closer to $15 million. They haven't really given any indication, but I think, it's probably fair with what they've done so far and how they've talked in the offseason, how Mike Hazen has sounded, that they're probably going to push this thing to $145 million after going to the World Series, despite TV contract situation. They're in a really good position. They got a growing market with a growing fan base. That last year's run, this market size is huge. Phoenix is a big city.
Ooh, thank you.
So we can certainly, the team, we've got attendance that is shockingly similar to what the Minnesota Twins drew. Like, it's within a couple hundred people of what the Minnesota Twins drew on average. They're about as close in attendance as any two teams in the league. And the Phoenix metro area is almost 2 times the size of the Minneapolis metro area. So
if you're wondering why he's talking about Minneapolis so much, it's because he's from Minneapolis.
I am from Minneapolis, but I was also looking at this, and they're very interesting comps for each other.
He actually has a Twins Christmas hat right there. You guys can't see it, but it's right there, I promise you. I would reach over, but...
No, don't. And so...
ruin the fun.
Okay, so... we're going to power through. And I just think they're remarkably similar in how they've run their clubs so far. The difference is, while they had about the same attendance and they've got about the same market size, the Twins for the last couple of seasons have been up over $150 million payroll, while the Diamondbacks have been under 130. And I think there's a good chance this season that the Diamondbacks finally pass the Twins in payroll, and they probably become a true mid-market level spender around $150 million, because that's where kind of the mid-level, the teams in the 15 to 20 biggest spenders are sitting is $150 million. And so if they can stay there, I think they would put together a dynamic team that has probably a 2-3 year window to be truly competitive with the core that they have in place right now. So the other guys that they could look at adding to, they've got $15 million. They've got to probably add an outfielder, a starting pitcher, and they could add a relief pitcher, but it's not really necessary. Like we discussed before, they got 7 good relievers coming into spring training. That's pretty good. Like that's an enviable position for any team to be in. So that they've got 7 good relievers coming in, and they always got, the best relievers are failed starters. They've got plenty of potential high level prospect starting pitchers that not all of them are going to make it as starting pitchers, and some of them are going to, when they get to the bullpen, are going to bring it up a few ticks, and they'd be good. So maybe we'll just say they got $15 million roughly to get an outfielder and a starting pitcher. If they can get an outfielder and a starting pitcher covered with that amount of money, that would be incredible. So
that would be great.
So we discussed Duvall, Randall Grichuk. Randall Grichuk's been kicking around for a while. We saw him a lot playing for the Rockies. Diamondbacks fans did, and he was good there. And then he played for the Blue Jays for a while, and then played for the Angels last season and bounced around. And he's serviceable. He'd be a fine right fielder. Again, someone who's not going to cost too much. He hits lefties. He's a right-handed batter. He hits lefties well. He's got a good arm. And so he'd make a good right fielder. He could play every day. He's probably best suited for more of a platoon role. So him and Jake McCarthy could make a solid platoon out there in right field. And you'd get good production overall from that. So I like that idea. I don't love it, but it would not be the worst addition. Aaron Hicks. Let's talk a little bit about Aaron Hicks. Aaron Hicks has been a weird player in his career. He came up as a center fielder. He walks a ton. He walks so much, and he doesn't strike out that much, which is kind of an incredible combination. He probably would be a perennial all-star in Major League Baseball. The Yankees gave him a contract like they expected him to be one 7 years ago. And he has just been injured constantly. So much so that while he was hurt last season, the Yankees cut him from their team while he was injured. And then and then something amazing happened. He went to the Baltimore Orioles, and he absolutely mashed for them. He was their best player for like a month. And then he got hurt again. And so
loop keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely. So he'd be a good player. Like if you're looking for someone, if your ideal storyline for 2024 for the Diamondbacks with right field is we're looking to add somebody. Hopefully we could pick up a free agent that is reasonably dependable, maybe can smash some left-handed pitching, can do some DH, good enough hitter, that at some point during the season, Barosa's ready to come up and take over right field, the short king. and they don't have to worry about who's playing right field anymore the rest of the way. That would be ideal scenario. We'll see if that happens. But Aaron Hicks would be a good addition. He's a switch hitter who has always, for his career, hit much, much, much better as a right-handed hitter. So much so there's been chatter multiple times over his career about him possibly just dropping switch hitting and just becoming a right-handed hitter. He's never done it, but he's a really good right-handed hitter. So even if they, again, smashes lefties, there's a theme with this list that I have of right fielders. Of most of them smash left-handed pitching. And so the reason why is Diamondbacks have a lot of left-handed hitting outfielders. And so if they can get a good right-handed hitting outfielder to platoon with them or get a little bit more playing time, that would be great. Lourdes Gurriel would be the top of this list, obviously, for an extension kind of contract. Probably could get him for 3 years, $36 million. That's going to mean that we're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to a pitcher for that 5th spot in the rotation. I don't know if I really love that idea, but you're going to have to give somewhere in order to pick up. I think I'd probably, unfortunately, as much as I love Gurriel for the contract he's going to get, I think I'd probably let him walk and get one of these other guys for $6 million and put $8 or $9 million towards getting a better pitcher. But we'll see what the team ultimately does.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I know. I would love to have Gurriel back, but the D-backs.
We both would.
I know. The D-backs, though, they have more depth in the outfield, more reliable depth in the outfield now and coming than they do in the rotation. And that's why I say I'd rather see them allocate more of the remaining payroll space to a pitcher than an outfielder. But if they got Gurriel, I wouldn't complain. I'd be super, super excited. We throw a party. We'd be popping bottles.
I mean, hey, I'm down.
And so
Blow
Aaron
up
Hicks,
balloons.
there's another guy. Yeah, I don't know if you'd really want to depend on him to be in the outfield. He'd be more of a spot outfielder. He's still kind of fast, but he doesn't have much of an arm. And he takes some goofy routes to get into balls. But that is Robbie Grossman. Robbie Grossman has one of the most impressive on-base percentages in Major League Baseball for his career for a player most people have never heard of. It's unreal.
I'm like, who is that?
I don't remember. I'm going to bring this up. He's played for quite a few teams.
You just hear on the microphone, click, clack, clickety, clack. There's a water break for everybody if they want to drink some water and, get some.
He's 34 years old. He has a career on base percentage of .329. I know that doesn't sound like much, but that is earlier in his career he had .386, .361, .367, .344, .357. Last year he still had .340. He was about a league average hitter for the Rangers, and if you recall, he was on the bench for their World Series winning team. He didn't play much, but he was there, and he was an important cog in their lineup for the regular season. He got 420 plate appearances. He played a lot, and he's good. Like, he would be more of a designated hitter. Like I said, he doesn't play much in the outfield anymore. He definitely would not play right field. He wouldn't be a good fit there. But he would not be the worst. He would be a super low wattage pickup. You're talking about a guy who you would probably bring in for like $1.5 million. Like, this is going to allow you to shop at a much higher level of starting pitcher than some of the other guys on this list. I mean, even Aaron Hicks probably would only be like $4 million. It's not up until you get to like Hunter Renfroe where we're probably having to pay out $8 million to get someone like Renfroe, probably $7 million to get Duvall, $5 million to get Grichuk, $4 million to get Hicks, maybe $5 million to get Hicks, and then Grossman you're talking maybe $2 million. Eddie Rosario is another option. He's a lefty. He would make a good right fielder. He's got cannon of an arm. He led Major League Baseball in outfield assists. So most people think that the best outfielders, the guys with the best arms in the outfield in Major League Baseball are the guys who throw the most base runners out. But that's usually not the case, because what happens is you have a season or two where you throw the most guys out, like Eddie Rosario did, and then nobody runs on you anymore. They all just stop at their base because they know they're going to get out. So their coaches are putting up the stop sign, constantly for base runners when that outfielder gets the ball.
Oh, I see what you're talking
You're
about.
preventing a lot of base runners from even trying to advance by having a really good arm out in right field, which is why that is so important compared to having Corbin Carroll out there, because that guy's arm is not stopping anybody from taking the extra
the coaches
base.
are going to be like,
Yep, they're just going to keep that runner waving around. So having a good right fielder out there to get guys to stop on the bases, to not even try to make that play, is good. So Eddie Rosario is about as good of an arm as you're going to get. I should mention, Aaron Hicks literally has the strongest arm in Major League Baseball for outfielders. He holds the record for the hardest throw ever made by an outfielder at 108 miles per hour.
I feel bad for the guy who caught it.
Yeah, that is some serious gas. He was a pitcher all through high school, and there was discussion of him staying at pitcher when he got drafted, but they ended up turning him into an outfielder, and it's probably a good move. Although he can throw super hard, he's more athletic and a better hitter than he probably would be as a pitcher. We don't know that, but it's likely. That said, who knows? Maybe he'd be Hunter Green on the mound, and he would have had a crazy different career. So Eddie Rosario would be good. Like I said, Aaron Hicks would make I didn't say this, but Aaron Hicks would make a stellar outfielder. Like he is probably, after Gurriel, he'd probably be the best outfielder on this list to fit the team in right field. So that would be a great pickup. And then I had to add this name just because, if no other reason, he can be had on a minor league contract, I'm almost certain. And that is, the Diamondbacks could bring back Jordan Luplow just as a left-handed platoon DH. I know he had an awful 2022 season here for the Diamondbacks. He was not good at all. And here's the thing, though. Even though he was not good at all, he still hit lefties really well for the Diamondbacks in 2022. He has crushed lefties his entire career. He can't hit right-handed pitching to save his career. But he can hang on to a roster spot and get himself 150 plate appearances a year, 200 plate appearances a year, smashing left-handed pitching. And he's probably got another couple of seasons left in him to do that. And he's not a bad outfielder. He's probably an above average right fielder. So if they wanted to give him just a strict platoon role as a right fielder DH until Barossa can come up and play right field.
Short King.
Then I think it would. I don't hate the move on a minor league contract or a major league minimum contract. I think it would be a perfectly defensible position. Also frees up a ton of money if they want to go get that pitcher and invest it there. So let's make a little rundown through pitchers. We're already running close to an hour on time. So it's just really, these pitchers are something fun to go over. So let's dream a little bit.
Yeah, those outfielders took up a lot of time, but y'all came here to hear about the free agents. So
that's right. You want to nerd out? We're nerding.
Yeah.
So we got Mike Clevenger out there still, probably looking for a multi-year deal. Clevenger comes with a little baggage and some amazing shoes. He has literally the best shoe game in Major League Baseball. He gets custom designed cleats for every single game, and they're incredible. They're incredible looking. They're so cool.
Sponsor us, please.
And so he has been really fantastic his entire career. He's had an injury problem, and then he had some off the field issues that I don't really want to go into. He was found to not necessarily be guilty of anything, so I'm not sure what it is. There's smoke though, of course, and maybe he's not the kind of guy you want in the clubhouse. I don't know enough about the situation to make a call. I do know he's a great pitcher. He would be hands down from just a production standpoint in the price range the Diamondbacks are shopping. He'd be the best pickup. Hands down. No question about it. Last season, let's see, Clevenger.
Water break for everybody.
Clevenger put up a 4.28 ERA, FIP last year, and a 4.13 ERA. He's been closer. He's got over the last, pretty much his entire career since his rookie season, he's been just really, really solid with a 3.87 FIP for his career. He's 33 years old, so he's always missed a lot of time with injury, or at least over the last 4 seasons, he's missed time due to injury. So you got to bake that into what you're going to get from him. But he can probably be had on something like I would guess probably like a 1 in 10, 1 in 12, maybe 1 in 14. It's going to eat up pretty much everything that the Diamondbacks have left of their payroll. They're not going to be able to add much of an outfielder, but he would be a really, really great addition. Other than that, I don't think someone like Lucas Giolito is in their price range anymore. If he was, it would have been with the Eduardo Rodriguez money at $15 million left. We're just kind of estimating. There's no way they could afford Giolito. He's going to get a $22 million a year contract. Michael Lorenzen, he had a really, really impressive bounce back season last year. He pitched for the Angels, and then he got traded to the Phillies mid-season. He wasn't great. He'd certainly be. He's got he's a poor man's Eduardo Rodriguez. Frankly, he's not quite as good. He would cost probably a low amount. You'd probably be looking at something like 1 in 8 for someone like Michael Lorenzen. So it would leave some money if they wanted to go and sign an outfielder still. Seth Lugo, we've seen a lot with the Padres. I would love Seth Lugo. Seth Lugo would probably be my preferred pickup on this list. He is going to cost a lot more, though. You're probably looking at like a 2-year contract for $26-28 million. So he would eat up pretty much everything that's left on that payroll space. But he is such a good pitcher. He's well known in nerd circles in baseball for having the highest spin rate curveball in Major League Baseball. His curveball gets more revolutions per second than any other pitcher in Major League Baseball. It's pretty cool. From a nerd standpoint, that's pretty cool. So he's got super tight spin, and his curveball is really, really solid. Another big name out there, or used to be big name, who's had a couple of injury-riddled seasons, is Frankie Montas. He'd be on a pillow contract. You'd probably be able to get him because of being injured and ineffective the last couple of seasons, especially the last season and a half. You could probably get him on something like a 1 year and $8 million contract. And so as a bounce-back candidate, he could potentially be really, really good. You know, he was once looked at on a Sonny Gray kind of level, and Sonny Gray went this way, Frankie Montas went that way, and so maybe he's got that in him. And if you could, I think if Frankie Montas stayed healthy, there's a good chance that Frankie Montas could be one of the 3 best pitchers in this rotation. if he stayed healthy. So having a bounce back pillow contract for him would not be a terrible idea if he's looking healthy and throwing well in off-season bullpen sessions.
Yeah.
Hyunjin Ryu, another lefty, even more crafty, change-up reliant than Eduardo Rodriguez, coming off of a rough few seasons for the Blue Jays. I shouldn't say few, just the last couple of seasons. Last year was pretty rough. He got pushed out of the rotation down the stretch, and he'd come on a decent contract, probably like a 1 in 10 or so, 1 in 12. He's a good pitcher still. He would be a solid number 5 starter behind Brandon Pfaadt, and the main concern with Ryu is if he stayed healthy. If he stayed healthy, kind of like Montas, if he stayed healthy, I'd expect Montas to be really good. If Ryu stayed healthy, I'd expect him to be perfectly solid. So that would not be a terrible pickup. Michael Wacha, the dude who keeps overperforming what he should be doing. He's the kind of pitcher who, like, for 4 years straight now, every year he keeps getting just a 1-year contract, because his underlying numbers don't look that good. And every year he just pitches to a 3.5 ERA over and over and over. And he gets no respect. And so we'll see what he'll get this offseason. Someone might actually buy into Michael Wacha finally and give him a 3-year contract. Or they could just say he's getting old and he can't keep this up. And he just keeps getting 1-year contracts for $15 million. So he would eat up the whole of if he got a 1-year contract. If they gave him a 2-year pack, they maybe would be able to get him at like 24 at 12 a year and have a few dollars left over to go get a Robbie Grossman or a Aaron Hicks or Randall Grichuk, but probably not. And that's really it. There are some really, really low wattage. If they decided to spend more on that outfielder, they have guys like Julio Teheran, Rich Hill potentially is out there, Johnny Cueto, Sean Manaea. None of these guys, Teheran and Hill and Cueto have some upside, but none of those guys they're like, you're going to give them a $2 million contract, invite to spring training, hope that their arm doesn't fall off during the season. They're all older guys that have had varying levels of effectiveness over the past couple of seasons. Rich Hill, for the most part, has probably been the best of that group when he has been healthy. They all are just kind of injury. They're old. They're for MLB pitchers, they're in their late 30s, except for Manaea. Manaea just breaks down and is ineffective. So I wouldn't really love any of those guys. I would still take them. The nice thing about signing someone like that is they're more like just keeping the seat warm until one of the minor league prospects is ready to take over as the 5th starter at the major league level. And they're just giving you kind of floor innings. And if they fail, you could just cut them. Get rid of them off of the roster so that you don't have to waste a roster spot on them. Versus if you have someone like Frankie Montas and he's ineffective, you're going to keep giving him innings because you got a bigger investment in him and you need him to succeed. And he has earned that right to get more innings out there. So the other idea that I had, there are some trade candidates out there. Potentially one guy that I think fits the Diamondbacks really well, which I know is going to sound kind of homerish again, going back to the Twins, but Max Kepler would be a good fit for the Diamondbacks, I think. He's a stellar right fielder, just elite Gold Glove level defense, who for the Minnesota Twins, who had the 3rd best offense in Major League Baseball for the last 2 months of the season, he batted third in their lineup and was their best hitter for the last 2 months of the season. Last 3 months of the season, really, he was their best hitter. So that's not a terrible pickup. He's available on the free agent market. You could trade some of your starting pitching depth for him. He's not going to cost a ton in trade capital. And so I think that would be a really good fit for the Diamondbacks if they went and figured out what he might be looking for. Or maybe they want to trade. The Twins got another guy on their roster buried named Trevor Larnach. He wouldn't cost much either. And either of them would make a good upgrade in right field for the Diamondbacks and a potential middle of the order bat. And I would love to see that. I'm not sure what other outfielders are available out there on the trade market. Kepler has just been talked about a lot on MLB Trade Rumors as being available. And so that's why I bring that one up, because in particular, Kepler is probably going to get traded this offseason.
Yeah.
And the Diamondbacks are as well positioned, have as much of a need as any other team out there, except maybe the Mariners, which is who I think he's probably going to ultimately. But the Diamondbacks are right up there with, they have a need to fill in right field and in the middle of the order. Kepler fills both of those, and I think he would make an awesome trade target. And he's on a 1-year contract at just $10.5 million. So he's affordable. You could still go get a decent level pitcher to fill out the back of your rotation. So the one final idea is you could also add a catcher. And I bring that up because you could add a decent catcher, and it's possible if you just wanted to go with your depth in your pitching. If Hazen just says, you know what, we got enough minor league pitching depth between all these guys down at AAA and AA coming up, that, you know, we can have Nelson start in the third spot in the rotation out of spring training, and then we've got plenty of guys coming that we can give opportunities to, and have them fight it out to be that fifth man as the season goes on. Who's ever performing the best, they get it. And then go and get Christian Vasquez and get Max Kepler from the Twins. The Twins will eat a little bit of that contract of Vasquez so that you can keep that total value, that total expense under $15 million, while getting a backup catcher to catch. And then you can have Gabby Moreno spend a lot more time at DH. You can have him spend half his games at catcher and have Vasquez just split every other game. And when Moreno is not catching, he's the DH for the day. And we saw Buster Posey do this for the Giants for a lot of years, playing first base when he wasn't the catcher. Moreno's a good enough hitter that you can do something like this. It's not a terrible idea to spend a little bit of money to bring in a good second catcher with Moreno, because Moreno's got the kind of bat that can play at DH and play well. And if you can have his bat in the lineup for 140, 150 games by having a good second catcher on the roster, that would solve the bat indirectly by having Moreno in there more frequently. And then Kepler gives you a middle of the order bat as well. So just something thinking about. It's possible that the Twins would never pull that deal. I don't know, but it's someone out there. There's not really a good catcher in free agency that the Diamondbacks can go pick up. So if they were to get somebody who could split time and go that route, which I would love to see. Good hitting catchers are hard to find, and giving them more at bats by using the DH spot is a really good idea to keep them healthy and keep their bat in the lineup. So I wouldn't mind it. Tucker Barnhart is out there. He's a good bat, and so maybe that's who the Diamondbacks go and target. Backup catchers are inexpensive. costs a couple $1 million probably to bring in Tucker. So they could do that and still get an outfielder and a pitcher for sure. So with that, do you have anything else to add, Phoenix?
No, I think the catcher idea would be pretty good to just wait for the stuff for the people they have in AAA and AA, and I love the free agent picks they got, and I think they should get a decent catcher.
A decent catcher? And
Yeah.
keep Moreno in that lineup more?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think if they can get the Twins to eat some of the Vasquez contract, that bringing in both Vasquez and Kepler from the Twins fills two holes at once in the lineup and gives you elite outfield defense. I think it's worth inquiring about. And it's only 1 year, so that you could still have Rosa go take over right field next season.
Yep.
If you wanted him to. So
Well,
yeah.
with that, that was Nerding on the Dbacks. We were going into some deep stuff about the free agents that we think the Diamondbacks should get, and we hope you liked
nerding out with us. Thanks for
Nerding
taking the time to nerd out with us. Yeah, we appreciate it. And with that, that's a wrap. See you next time.
Also, I want you to grab your towel, run outside, and say, "I just watched the Dbacks podcast." I'm kidding.
Peace.
Peace. We don't have a clip for you this time, but maybe next time. But we'll see you.
Nerding on the Dbacks! Woo!
Are we testing this?
No, go ahead.
Can we start over?